and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Bobby Trippett.
I'm Michael Tanner.
And I'm Shane.
And today we're talking about 1993's Undefeatable.
And,
Hey, Bobby, I got the money!
Dad, I made the team! But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
I didn't say it, knocker.
I don't know. Spooky ain't got no real rhythm. We're gonna play a little game, baby!
I just love funny games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles!
How the hell would women live? I'm horny. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
It's for jacking off! Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.
So guys, we're here talking about Undefeatable, the introduction of Cynthia Rothrock onto the Grindbin. And man, I don't know about you guys, but I'm anxious to already have her back again.
Oh yeah, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Most people think we would start with like China O'Brien, but no.
Not us.
No,
Curveball, everybody.
not the Grindbin, because today, because of our good friend and Patreon, Mike Radcliffe, we are doing Undefeatable, and we are not only inducting Cynthia Rothrock into potential Grindbin All-Star status, but we are bringing in the director Godfrey Ho. And we have never done a Godfrey Ho movie. And man, I wouldn't say legendary, but I would say infamous director. Have you guys ever seen a Godfrey Ho movie? I'm sure you have. He only directed 149 of them.
I'm not even sure.
I'm sure we've crossed paths.
You know, I just hit double digits with him. You know, I feel like I'm now really starting to understand him as a creator.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but why don't we introduce Shane to the Grindbin audience? Shane, you are a longtime listener, as
Yes,
I can see, because
very
you've been with us on Twitter for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and let them know all about you?
Well, I'm Shane. I've been a listener since the earliest, Chris Mann, Mike Wood solo days when Grindbin was
My
only a
God.
duet. It was actually my brother who helped me set
The dark days.
Yeah, I still enjoy a lot of those old episodes. I'm not gonna lie, because like most of those old episodes were movies I'd actually seen before, like actually listening to them, like The Teacher and Cheerleaders. I don't know why I just chose to watch those, but I had seen those, so that really enhanced those episodes for me.
What was your first episode?
First one, I think it might have actually been Super Vixens.
Ooh, that is a really good episode.
Sweet.
Yeah, I was hooked as soon as I heard that. And I immediately went to watch that movie too.
Shane, you have been around since almost the beginning. I think that's like one of the first 10 movies.
Oh yeah, that's like wasn't there like the Grindbin 5 or something? Like
Yeah. Well, maybe, you know what, Shane? Maybe you are the missing member of the Grindbin 4.
the Grindbin 4.
Finally
Or
happened.
actually the fourth of the Grindbin 4 that we always just called it. Isn't it only 3?
Yeah, maybe.
It's
Holy
the Grindbin
shit.
4, of which there are 3, but now there's 4.
Yeah.
Man,
Oh
you
my
could-
God. Well, I think we finally found him.
Well, I would
We
probably
found the Shemp.
I'm probably usurping this from my brother who actually found you guys out, listened to a lot of you first, and then introduced me. And then I was just more vocal on social media.
Guys, today, though, we are talking about Undefeatable, and we are, man, I am jacked as hell, as we say on the Grindbin. The director, Godfrey Ho, now I mentioned him briefly. He has directed 149 credits. He credited himself on this movie as Godfrey Hall, which is not much different than Godfrey Ho, but apparently the ALL makes all the difference. He worked from 1973 until 2002, guys, and he directed 149 movies. So there were years where he had dozens. How do you think that's possible?
The different names.
Godfrey Ho is kind of a hack artist, I'd say. Is that he would buy movies from foreign territories, strip out all of the shit, re-edit them, sometimes re-edit them with multiple movies, sometimes shoot a scene or two to add something in, and then slap a poster together and sell it in America.
That's amazing.
And most of his movies have the title Ninja. Now I'm going to read you a few, and guess what? This isn't even half of them. Ready?
Ready.
Ninja Squad, Challenge of the Ninja, Ninja Empire, Full Metal Ninja, Zombie vs. Ninja, Ninja Strike Force, Ninja Power Force, Ninja Showdown, Ninja Extreme Weapons, Rage of Ninja. And with that, there's about 40 other titles, and I'm not exaggerating.
One of my favorites is Thunder Ninja Kids, The Hunt for the Devil Boxer.
You know what my favorite one is?
What?
Diamond Ninja Force.
Are you guys, are these real, or are you just pulling these out of your ass?
No, that's a real one.
Okay.
Now, why does that sound so familiar, Tanner?
Yeah, it sounds very familiar.
I don't know why
Oh.
that could be.
Yeah. Could it be because of my comic book, Strike Team Codename Diamond Force, which features a character designed after Richard Harrison, who was one of the stars of Diamond Ninja Force?
Oh my god! And
Oh,
where
wow.
might one find that, Mike Tanner?
You might find that on my website, buymichaeltanner.com, or at conventions. Literally the only places you can buy it.
Tanner's plug game is strong today.
Yeah.
It is. It's great that you can get that out at the beginning of the episode. And if you were a patron to our show in 2017?
Well, no, about a year ago.
Yeah, you got a copy of that. So it's great. But guys, this is the second movie he directed with Cynthia Rothrock, but the other one was in the same year. It was 1993's Honor and Glory. So I'm pretty sure they were just back to back. And I don't know which one came first.
Now, knowing the way he works, how much of Honor and Glory is just scenes from this movie?
Pretty sure it's the same movie. Yeah, they just cut into two. So. But the writers, believe it or not, writers on this movie, Robert Vassar, only credit, but Steve Harper, he has a credit on this. He's an actor and a writer. This was his first writing credit. And the only other writing credits he has is he's currently the executive story editor on the American Crime series. Basically been in a bunch of TV shows, like small one-off roles on like Law and Order, SVU, All My Children, Young and the Restless. So he's working steadily, but for some reason he wrote this movie.
We all got to start somewhere.
Well, either he did or it's just somebody with a different name. Well, it's true because there's somebody else in this cast that has a name that I'm like, that's not her. There's no way it's her. And we'll go through that soon. But Cynthia Rothrock, guys, who plays Christy Jones, born in Delaware and grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Cynthia Rothrock, undefeated middleweight kickboxing champion for 5 consecutive years. And that's why I thought the movie was called Undefeatable, but I don't think it is because there's a line in the movie where he just says, I'm undefeatable, which I was like, oh.
That's a great shoehorn.
Yeah, I guess that has nothing to do with Cynthia. Since the age of 13, she had been training. She has 5 black belts, and she was apparently the inspiration for Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat.
Absolutely.
And as of 2004, she was teaching martial arts at a studio in Studio City, California. So you can bet I'm signing up for classes.
I was going to say, are we going on a Grindbin field trip? We all going to enroll?
Let's use that Patreon money.
Well, good news, guys. I've already enrolled you all in her class.
Oh,
High fives.
guess what, Bobby? I enrolled you too.
Oh, man.
Gift of the Magi.
Nah, my IQ's too high.
She has 62 acting credits and is currently in pre-production on a new movie. She's been working steadily since 1985. She's still in stuff all the time. Her first role was in Yes, Madam, which is an action comedy produced in Hong Kong. She used to live in Hong Kong, so she made a bunch of movies over there. And then in 1985, she was in a movie called 24 Hours to Midnight, which is made by soon-to-be Grindbin All-Star in the year 2019, Leo Fong, who writes and directs a lot of his own movies. Don't know if we'll do that movie, but he will be appearing here very soon. 1987, Fight to Win. 1989, Female Reporter. 1990, China O'Brien.
Yes.
And she followed that up with China O'Brien 2 in the same year.
Out of curiosity, who did she play in Female Reporter?
Tanner, you seem to be a big fan of...
I've never seen China O'Brien, but that was a movie that was like a punchline to me and my friends growing up. Like, oh, what movie should we watch? Let's rent China O'Brien, because it sounded ridiculous.
Mine was always A Million to Juan
Oh, yeah, with
Grindbin All-Star Paul
Rodriguez, yeah. On our Patreon-only bonus episode, The Whoopee Boys, where Bobby, Chris Mann, and I really, really, really love that movie.
Oh, yes. I didn't know you're such a Danny Noonan fan.
Yeah. Yeah, huge Noonan fan.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear all about that for $2 a month, getting our plugs out early, guys. But she was in a bunch of other movies. She's great, and she will definitely be appearing on the Grindbin again, probably very soon, because I was a big fan of this movie. Don Nam, who plays Stingray, or is Stingray... Now, Stingray is, like, established much later in the movie, but before that, his name is just Paul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like halfway through they start calling him Stingray, but we know him as some dude named Paul for most of it.
Which is what I really like because, most of the way through the movie, your psychotic killer guy is just named Paul. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we got to give him a more badass name, Stingray.
Stingray.
And everyone just kind of gets on board with it the second they establish that.
Yeah.
Suddenly the entire movie just calls him Stingray.
They never use Paul again once they say Stingray.
Yeah, everybody's calling him Paul, and then one person calls him Stingray. They're like, oh, okay, we're going with that now. So we'll do the same. He only has 7 credits, believe it or not. One of One of them is called 1985's Justine Exotic Liaisons. And the only reason I wrote that down is because this is the greatest IMDb synopsis I've read today. A young girl dreams of various erotic liaisons. She is kidnapped and made to strip naked, detects dodgy goings-on an express train, and strips naked. Goes to New Orleans and strips naked. ...
We can all relate.
That's it. So it's just a series of Justine getting naked.
Well, I hate when the descriptions are spoilers.
Well, it has the ... so you don't know, Tanner. She strips naked, and then what? You know?
Is it a way out?
She strips naked and then fights the stingray.
I hope he plays Stingray in that movie.
Before we leave Stingray, there is a credit the same year as Undefeatable that he has for The Making of and God Spoke. I don't know if you guys have seen And God Spoke.
I have not.
That, when I was in high school, was one of my favorite movies. It's a mockumentary. It's a mockumentary about the making of a Bible movie. And I can't imagine... It says he was auditioner number 8, so he probably did not have a big role. But the fact that he is in that movie that I have this deep old connection to really blew my mind when I saw that on his on his IMDb.
You didn't recognize him?
No. And actually, I just watched that movie again a few years ago, and it does not hold up. But now I do want to go back and watch it and see if I can spot Stingray in this movie.
Huh. So the other guy I have written down, John Miller, Jason Slade. He only has 6 credits, which, I mean, come on, guys. Powerhouse performance in this movie. How could they ever not cast him in anything else? However, he was uncredited in 20 episodes of Homicide as Sergeant Rollo. So I don't know what that means, you're uncredited. Either you did something really shitty and they had to take your name out, or just, who's that guy again? Fuck it.
Maybe a little bit of both.
I like to imagine that he named that character, and that character, he was just an extra that they used a lot, and he didn't have a name, so he decided, my name is Sergeant Rollo. And so that's become canon.
And he's been doing that on every show he shows up on? He's trying to be like Belzer?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you think it was just like one of those shots like that they just had, they used all the time of just like a pan across the police station?
Like an establishing shot of like the front office where all the detectives are working on their computers and drinking coffee. Yep. He's just walking by in
for
the background.
20 episodes they used it, and he's like, well, I'm putting it on IMDb. I don't care if the producers aren't. I don't care if Dick Wolf's not. I am.
And my name is Sergeant Rollo.
And then Sonny David. Now, here's the other one. Sonny David, who plays Karen. Okay. This is her only acting credit, but there is no way this is the same person because she is credited with writing the song Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. But I'm like, that is not possible. I mean, how old in this 1983 movie? You'd say like, what, 20, 23 at the most? But apparently she wrote all sorts of, she was like credited on the soundtrack for like Grease and all sorts of other things. I'm like, really? So at like 5, she was writing songs? I guess so. So Sonny David, writer of Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, according to IMDb, is in this movie in her only acting credit.
She seems to have a affinity for movies where everyone's wearing a leather jacket. Just everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, she has a credit on Fallout 4. Wow. All right.
Oh, really?
For a whole lot of shaking going on.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Now you got me more interested. I'm pulling it up. Yeah. The only thing she's ever credited for is Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. Like in everything that it's ever been on. She did not.
I like how they list literally every movie or TV show that used that song all throughout
yes,
history.
So apparently she's a time traveler or a Highlander or something because her first credit was in 1958 for writing Whole Lot of Shaking Going On in an episode of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. So, Sonny David, everybody. She never ages a bit. So, guys, we got a little trivia, but Shane, before we get into it and get out of the cast, why don't you let us know a little bit about what you discovered while digging around about this movie?
Well, it wasn't so much digging. So just earlier today, I decided might as well go through some of the key scenes to brush up on my notes. And I noticed that when I went back into YouTube, because the full film's up on there, that there was another movie called The Bloody Mary Killer, the Hong Kong version of Unbreakable. And so I decided, is there any difference with this one? So I noticed there's a few different scenes, and I wound up watching the whole thing and being like, no, this is a different fucking movie.
Oh, wow.
It's like co-starring Cynthia Rothrock. Hers is kind of like a B plot. It's tough to tell like which one really takes precedence, but it starts with a guy named Robin Shu or Shu. Shu, yes. And he is he plays Robin, a boy coming from Hong Kong to visit his dad, who seems to be hiding in America from the ICAC for like links to the Triad. And Robin has found a way to get him off the hook, but the Triad is hot on his tail and trying to stop that. So while Cynthia is doing her thing in this movie, there's a whole other unrelated story where Robin and all these other like Chinese characters are going up against the Triad in Maryland, or where this movie takes place. And there is a world of difference between the fight scenes and the quality of the martial arts too.
For any listeners who don't know already, Robin Shu is most famous for playing Liu Kang in the Mortal Kombat movie.
That's right.
He was also in Beverly Hills Ninja, if you remember that.
And he plays the character 14K in the Death Race remake.
Oh.
So, Shane, in this other version, the Bloody Mary Killer, does it still have the subplot with Stingray in it?
Oh, yeah, Stingray's in it. It's just he's of no consequence to anything that Robin's doing. He kills Robin's brother. Like, we'll get to that when we get to that point in the movie. Because there's like key scenes.
Oh, is Robin's brother the guy in the parking garage?
He's one of them. I'll tell you when we get there. There's like a few parts. There's a few points of overlap. There's only one extra scene that Cynthia Rothrock filmed to like be with Robin, but it's of no consequence to either of their plots. So it's like just thrown in there.
It's like a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that it's an awkward first date that doesn't go any further. That's the only scene they're in.
So I'm wondering which one was produced first, and like why did they decide to change it? Because on the Wikipedia it says that the alternate version, the Bloody Mary Killer, was the different version made specifically for Asian markets. But what came first? Because what did they? Are you going to explain to us what they cut out, Shane? Because I mean, this is a full movie. This is 90 minutes.
I feel like Undefeatable must have come first because, first of all, it's called the Bloody Mary Killer, which is definitely makes more sense with the plot of Undefeatable and not at all with what Robin and these Triad guys are doing. But then, like, it cuts down on a lot of Cynthia's stuff and just adds more to characters who appear briefly in the Undefeatable, like, main story. Like, they have whole arcs. Not like whole arcs. It's still a fast-moving movie as well. But like they appear and have more story on Robin's side.
Man,
it's kind of like a choose your own adventure book. If you chose Cynthia or Robin, like you wind up with a whole the events are full different.
Now, do they actually meet each other at one point, or is it literally just two stories that don't have anything to do with each other?
Cynthia and Robin have one brief scene where Cynthia and her boys go to his favorite gym, and those two share a quick sparring session. They seem to be friends, but we don't know like where they met each other or anything at all about how they're connected. And after that scene, neither will mention each other again.
Wow.
So guys, apparently actress playing the sister of Cynthia Rothrock, Sonny David, writer of Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, was reportedly unpaid and left before the filming completed. And apparently in her dramatic scene where Cynthia Rothrock had to weep over her dead body, the actress wasn't there, and Rothrock had to pretend she was looking at the actress while looking at Godfrey Ho's hand.
Man, I bet that really affected her performance.
It was a powerhouse performance. She did great.
She gave it her all, man. Apparently, though, there was a lot of issues with actors on set because Cynthia Rothrock has personally claimed that some of her co-stars couldn't remember their lines, so that apparently they had to put portions of dialogue written down and taped to her forehead for the actors to read.
I 100% believe that.
Can you imagine somebody trying to put an index card on Cynthia's forehead?
Like they're waiting in line at Disneyland?
John Miller and Don Neum, apparently, guys, in the last fight there, were preparing so hard and were so oily and so bodybuilded up that they spent most of the scene flexing. And that's apparently why their movements are notably stiff. That's what somebody put in the trivia. Don't know if that's true, but I believe it.
Yeah, that seems legit.
That's why they move like they're in Pit Fighter?
They do move like Pit Fighter characters, yeah.
They move like they're in Street Fighter 1.
They move like you don't know how to do the special moves yet. You're trying to figure it out.
In this town, if you want justice, you have to take it.
Cynthia Rothrock as Christy Jones. A street fighter searching for a man who murdered her sister. An undefeatable champion driven by insanity.
What are you doing with my wife?
If he can't have Anna, he'll kill anyone who even reminds him of her.
Come on, tough guy!
Sergeant Nick DeMarco knows his name.
Wait!
Christy Jones is determined to find the killer.
You're crazy. My name's not Anna.
But every wasted minute costs another life.
I'm talking about my sister. Your ass is mine.
Big mistake. Red.
Not move.
Bitch! Before you ruin my mood!
Shockwave rocked the city.
We're gonna start another gang war.
Well, I tried to wait for you, but they jumped us.
You got a lot to learn about police work.
Nick and Christy team up.
It's all your fault.
Jennifer, run!
With the help of a beautiful psychologist, Christy and Nick unite in a fight for supremacy. It will take every ounce of muscle, every skill, every technique to end the fatal desire of this madman.
So we get into the movie, guys. A lady. Okay, so the first thing we see of how you want to start out your action movie is a lady in a psychiatrist's office, just telling us how Paul has changed. He used to be, making a good living as a mechanic, and now he just fights. And apparently he fights her as well. And then we just kind of cut over to see that she's talking to a psychologist. Then we just cut to shots of this, quote, death match, which is what Paul is taking part in, I guess. And they're still using, they're basically just boxing.
It's like a weird dream sequence.
Yeah, it looks like a kickboxing match.
Yeah, with boxing gloves. And apparently this is a, quote, death match.
And speaking of stiffness, the slow-mo effect doesn't really look like an actual dramatic slow-mo. It's more like they're just really sluggish. They're just really worn out. It's been a tough day.
They're an hour 12 of this death match.
Yeah, it feels like Godfrey Ho's like, no, we can't do slow motion, so just act slow. So the psychologist tells her basically, hey, if you're in danger, Anna, you need to go. And then a single tear runs down her face. Cut to a convenience store. So we'll just forget all about that.
Meanwhile, in a different movie.
Two guys are robbing this convenience store in this completely different movie. And when I started wondering, I'm like, is this even a convenience store? Because when you cut to another angle, it just looks like there's a bunch of lunch trays piled up. And then just a
I think
random...
it's probably a weird sandwich shop where it's very narrow.
I was thinking school cafeteria.
Yeah, and this young boy he just wants to buy a Coke, which apparently there's a lot of Coke in this movie.
I love this kid.
Oh, yeah.
Because this kid doesn't give a fuck about a robbery happening.
Oh, no.
No.
They're doing an armed robbery, and he interrupts and goes, hey, I just want to pay for this.
Yeah, he wants to pay for his soda and go on with his life.
I get that it's a stick up,
Yeah.
but I'm thirsty.
Well, there are two Coke commercials in this movie. One of the robbers says, it's on the house, kid, and pushes him so he slides across the floor, and he hits this guy in a suit who's cop in the movie. Does he even say his name?
Yeah, many times.
In the whole movie?
It's like Nick.
He's Sergeant Nick DeMarco. And he gets his first quip in because he looks up and goes, do I get one on the house too?
Hey, I just want to pay for this.
It's on the house, kid!
Hey, buddy, you okay? You sure? Do I get mine on the house too?
No way, asshole! You gotta pay!
No, that's not fair. You gave the kid his for free. Or maybe you're just too much of a chicken shit to pick on someone your own size.
So this is where we established that these robbers, are amazing day players, okay? Because their deliveries on these lines that we're definitely going to play are pretty great, which include suck my dick and Did I write this down correctly? He says, "Suck this jerk off."
I think you just heard that on your own.
Like, were you,
But, like,
were you on
the
hallucinogens
suck my
watching
dick
this?
guy.
I swear to God.
I like your version of these events.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Suck my dick!
Suck this, jerk off.
The suck my dick guy looks like Kurgan from the
Oh, he
Oddities from 2000 WWF.
Yeah, that actor who
Yeah.
was in 300 as the Giant.
Yes.
And is one of the pilots in Pacific Rim.
Oh, is he in Pacific
Yeah, he's
Rim?
one of the Russians who get their reactor blown up underwater. He's got blonde hair in Pacific Rim.
So apparently, like, he comes over, the cop beats these guys up, and then his partner comes in and just says, "Hey, we got to go." And he looks over and says, "Just getting my warm up," which was nice. Now we cut to Cynthia. So we're in a whole nother movie. And she's
actually,
in some.
I think we cut to a 501 Levi's commercial from 1993.
God. Yeah, so Cynthia goes with the real high-waisted 1993 look, right? She is going to a street fight dressed very well in her brand new Levi's and super nice leather jacket.
Oh, yeah.
She's here with her gang. So they have this street gang she hangs out with. Their name is, what is it, the Red Dragons or something?
Red
What is the
Dragons,
name?
which you don't find out for like half an hour.
And I don't think they mention it at all in The Bloody Mary Killer. I think they're just a nameless gang.
They're just a bunch of friends hanging
They
out.
act like a nameless gang. They're just her buddies. They're the boys.
Yeah, they've just, kind of lost their way. Like, maybe they should go back to school. We'll find out, But apparently they're going to the street fight because Cynthia needs to make money to pay for her sister's tuition.
Seems legit.
Yep.
And so that's when this guy comes out, the fight guy she's going to fight, and he says, we're going to play this line, of course.
Hey, baby. You like it rough? Why don't we just skip this fight and go on back to my place?
You're gonna be too busy looking for your teeth.
So it's gonna be like that, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be like that.
And as she enters this room, I swear they're coming into the Seinfeld music.
Yeah, this is when we should establish that the music in this movie never stops. It is like they bought one, royalty-free CD and just played it throughout the entire movie,
Regardless of the
just
tone,
every track. Not
just keeps going.
Oh yeah. They got exactly 90 minutes worth of music. They press play and it just goes.
I was gonna say, as this Kmart Kumite was about to kick off, everyone starts clapping and stomping, but they're all on different rhythms.
So when they say the fight is starting and there's a prize reward, everybody, you're right, Bobby, starts stomping their feet, clapping in unison. But like you said, each side is in a different unison.
It's maddening.
And the weird thing I'm starting to wonder is I go, wait a second. In most of these movies where there's a street fight, there's still the complex idea of people place bets and then somebody pays it off. And I never understand the logic of that. But in this one, they just go, all right, there's a prize reward. And I'm writing, but from who? Who's putting up the money to watch these people fight?
I think the guys in suits just like watching people fight, so they bankroll all of this for their own pleasure.
So they just go $600 to the winner?
Yeah.
We just kind of see people flashing wads of cash and are just expected to know.
This is pre-internet.
Because the trope is like any Van Damme movie or something when he's doing street fighting or something like Lionheart or something. People are like, all right, I got 10 to 1 or something like that. And then there's all these people handing money to a guy. And at the end, somebody somehow gets the money back. It doesn't make any sense because there's no goddamn paperwork or anything. And you can come up and do that. But in this movie, they're like, no, you just win a cash reward. So apparently, Tanner, what you're saying is that there's these guys in suits that bankroll these things out of just like some sort of bizarre fetish and watching random people fight.
They're called fetishes, Mike. There's not a lot to do. This is like early days AOL. So like, I don't even think cybering is a thing yet.
So they all met in the chat room and they're like, all right, guys, come on down to the alley.
You want to go to an alley and watch a fight?
You wouldn't know it from this version of the movie, but you get one extra scene with these guys and you find out that they have a lot of cash because the triad who's coming to search for Robin's father needs to pay a visit to these guys and pays them like $20,000 for information on where to find Robin's father. So there's two nonsense quick succession scenes early in the movie wherein some triad guides go to the street fight guys, ask for information, pay them large sums of money, go to a Chinese restaurant, ask for some info, give them a lot of money, and then they just eventually kind of find his dad.
Huh.
Oh, that makes sense.
So with all this extra money, they're like, hey, let's go have some street fights, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Get in that chat room, bring everybody over to the alleyway. We can find somebody to do it. $600.
We just watched a movie where a bunch of hillbillies came into some money and blew it all on the fair in one night. I mean, different strokes, different folks.
Yeah, the triad shows up and these guys go, well, finally we could do what we've always wanted. Pay people to fight on the street.
Oh, we haven't even brought up that the guy that Cynthia's fighting, he's just kind of got chains around his hoodie. That's like his look.
Oh, I love that look. El Diablo.
Yeah, he's wearing a black champion hoodie, which he bought at Kmart.
It's so good. Oh, yeah. Okay, his name's El Diablo in this. I just wanted to point out that in The Bloody Mary Killer, his name is only brought up once later.
Steve.
They call him Blackie.
Blackie?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm so
Lord.
Yes.
Woo! That Hong Kong audience, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just like slipped in there.
So that reminds me, there's a Hong Kong movie called Lucky 7. It's about a group of kids doing martial arts. And in the non-dubbed version, in the original Hong Kong release, the fat kid is named Bullshit. That obviously got changed.
So apparently this fight is for $600, and Cynthia has no problem taking him out. And the rules are this. Apparently the rules of the street fight, the AOL chat room street fight, are that if your hand touches the ground, you lose.
Makes sense.
So the whole fight is to just try to get the person to touch the ground. Because there's that great part where Cynthia's about to touch the ground, and then one of her gang members goes, Cynthia, if you touch the ground, you lose.
So ain't nobody doing capoeira in these fights.
No. So she wins easily with this awesome kick, and she brings the guy down.
It's not even a kick. She just does a split and slowly sets down on top of him.
Split.
In The Bloody Mary Killer, she is known as the spiral leg. So that fits into that. She's got a reputation
awesome.
In the Cantonese version.
So she wins the $600, and then all of a sudden the cops show up, and it's the same cop from the liquor store, and he arrests Cynthia. And I write, well, maybe, because we just cut. She just runs away, and then he goes, and then all of a sudden cut to Cynthia's gang. They're just hanging out at this university looking for her sister, Karen, and they find her, and they tell her, hey, your sister's been arrested, and she's like, oh, not again, what's she been doing?
She's like, was she
and
fighting?
then they go get her. Yeah, this is a trend, apparently. And then we cut to Cynthia in the interrogation room, and there's this whole back and forth about whether or not she wants to drink some tea. Very weird way to start this scene. And then the cop, he wants information on the fights and who sets them up, but she won't give away any of the info. And they keep giving her a hard time about the fighting.
She can't give him any real information because she only knows their screen names.
They're like, hey, why are you doing this fighting and everything? She's like, look, I just make a few bucks on the side. I got a full-time job. I work at the cafe. I got bills to pay. I got a sister in college. Come on. And then the cop lets her go, but he takes her money, which I was like, huh.
Yeah, what a dick.
The partner's all upset because he let her go or something. It's the thing about this movie is that it moves at a rapid pace.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just sitting there. I'm trying to take notes, and I'm just like, what in the fuck? It's just going and going and going. I got to say one thing about this movie. It's never boring. That's for sure. So then we go to Cynthia and Karen. They're at home. Karen is tending to Cynthia's wounds, and she's like, oh, why are you fighting to keep me in college and everything? And she's like, look, everything, these fights is perfectly safe. I just need to help you pay for your tuition. And don't you remember how mom died? Poor.
It's a great line.
Then Cynthia goes on some rant about the American healthcare system.
Yeah.
Which I was like, man, didn't know Godfrey Ho had such hard takes on American healthcare.
I really love the very 90s plot of you have to go to college or else it's all worthless.
The irony of all this is now that her sister's going to school, she's going to school to be a doctor, guys. And so she agrees to let Cynthia keep paying the bills by apparently street fighting people from AOL chat rooms. So that is the plot of the American version of Undefeatable. But apparently the Hong Kong version has something to do with the triad, is what you're telling us, Shane.
Yeah, and they don't really elaborate on it. What I've told you is about it.
So do they have this scene with her and her sister, or is that just all kind of...
Her sister's in that, like, they establish her just enough so that they can kill her off, so that you know what Cynthia's doing. But there's a lot of other stuff missing with, like, Stingray. I don't even remember if we actually see, like, what sets Stingray off and sets, like, his whole thing into motion.
He just rolls in already crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's kind of Steve rolls into the movie.
Oh, well, because if you miss this scene, man, the Hong Kong audience is missing out because this is amazing. The next scene we see is that lady from the psychologist's office, Anna. She's at home, right? And then Paul comes home from a death fight. And I do love this line is when he walks through the door, Anna goes, "Hi, honey, how was the fight?" Apparently, guys, the fight has made him rhino hard because he is ready to go.
Doesn't even care that there's a steak on the stove.
So he comes in and Anna is cooking dinner and he's like, "I want to fuck now." And she's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to set the table. Dinner's ready." And he goes, but I'm undefeatable." And I'm like, "Oh man, they got the title of the movie out right away." All right. Yeah. Well, he wants to play. She's not in the mood. So, Bobby, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so he throws her over the dinner table and he starts to force the issue. As that's happening, he's flashing back to the fight. He's sort of reliving it in his mind. And
and this goes on for a long time. Like a
way
long,
too long.
long time.
And we very artistically we start cutting back to the steak on the stove, showing that it is getting well done.
But we keep cutting back from him raping his wife to a shot of a steak to him in the death match. And then finally, it ends with a fork going into the steak. And Paul sits down at the table and starts eating as Anna is just on the floor crying. And he asked her, "Why aren't you eating?" And she isn't hungry.
It's a pretty rough scene, but I kind of wish that the scene ended with him saying, "It's overcooked."
Oh, God.
So they cut this part out for the Hong Kong version?
Yes.
No, they just added Robin Shou.
No, the rape is there.
Oh, okay.
The rape is there, but him eating the steak isn't. I feel like that was
of all
pivotal.
the things to cut out.
Oh, they cut out
the
the best part.
It really brings it all together.
Yeah, they cut out the punchline.
The punchline.
Okay, this is when we get the introduction of like the kingpin that sets up the fights for Paul.
Lou.
Where he has this thing where, okay, now we never find out who's paying for these fights, but apparently Paul's death fights, which as we saw was just in like the training room for like a punch out game or something. It's just like a boxing ring with smoke all around it. There's no crowd or anything, but apparently these fights pay upwards of 20 grand.
Sounds legit.
But there was no audience. We don't know anything about him, but he has a new fight and he's offering $100,000.
Yeah, the boys from Philly have a new man.
Is this an unseen Rocky movie, The Boys from Philly? Was he going to fight Stallone in some sequel that never got made?
There's an Italian guy. He can really take a hit.
This guy's a real stallion.
Stallone versus the Stingray?
Oh, I'd watch that.
Oh, yeah.
So Paul comes. Okay, the next scene is that Paul comes home with flowers and a gift for Anna. He's apologizing, but she doesn't seem to be here.
And he very quickly goes from apologetic to, "If you're hiding, I'll break your fucking neck."
Yikes! And so then he finds a note and a pocket watch.
She's giving back his mother's pendant. It says in her Dear Paul letter.
There's like dramatic sad music. Was it supposed to be coming like from the pendant? Is it musical? Because when he closes it, the music stops.
Yeah, I thought it was a musical.
I think it was.
Yeah, so it's like
I thought it was.
It's like a little music box. It should have exploded.
So at first you thought it was a pocket watch, then it's a pendant, now it's a music box. And apparently it plays the sad music we're hearing in the scene as he's reading the letter, like Demon Cop style. She also left his favorite dinner.
Which is kind of nice of her. But yeah, she mentions in the letter, "I am not your mother. And every time you call me mommy, you choke the life out of me."
Oh boy.
I had to go back to watch the first scene because I didn't hear him say mommy at all. I was like really confused.
No, he didn't say it in the first scene.
No, I think this is where they first introduced this problem.
Yeah. The rest of the movie is all about mommy.
Which would have been interesting to put that in the rape scene.
Would it?
Also, I thought this was very funny as they clearly shot this the same day because she says, "I left you your favorite dinner," which is clearly just the same meal that he had yesterday. It's like just the exact same food and same steak and same salad and everything. They just switched the side of the table it was on.
He sure likes that dinner.
That's why it's his favorite. He has it every day.
Yeah, don't clean it up. We'll just use it for the next scene. Paul is pissed and he does this amazing no.
And we get our first Anna of the movie.
And he also throws stuff off the table. Again, it's not in slow motion, but it's almost like he's acting in slow motion where he just kind of slowly pushes things off.
It cuts away a bit too fast. I was hoping we'd get like a full-on like end of the room Tommy Wiseau meltdown, but with Kung Fu.
Yes.
I was hoping he'd do the whole
It is
house.
almost that level, but it almost felt like Godfrey Ho was like, no, you can't break anything, so just push it off really
This is
lightly.
my actual house.
We need the deposit back.
Yeah, we definitely need the deposit back, so don't knock that steak off. Just real lightly, just put it on the floor. Then we cut to this is an incredible flashback.
Yeah. So while we're listening to this, like, sort of like childish music that's coming from his musical stopwatch pendant locket, we flash back to young Paul as a boy in his front yard sitting on a bike while his parents circle around him yelling at each other. Apparently the mother is leaving, the father is pissed off, and poor little Paul is stuck in the middle. Now I wrote down, like, the music from the pocket watch sounds so much like an ice cream truck. I thought Clint Howard was going to murder his parents, and that would be his tragic origin story.
Yeah, he just pulls up and just butter brickles them. I do love the dialogue between the mom and the dad, though. The dad's like, I don't care about this kid. Fucking get rid of him. It's not my problem. You get rid of him.
Tired of this shit, woman. I ain't taking care of him.
It's just for tonight.
I don't care if it's for 1 minute. I'm with you, not your kid.
What do you want me to do?
That ain't my problem. You can get rid of him for all I care.
He's my kid.
If I have to take second place to him, I'm gone.
No, please. Mommy, don't go.
I think we're meant to take it that that's not his dad. That is his mom's latest boyfriend, because daddy left.
Which is really funny is because we're saying young Paul, but he's like, I don't know, 12? Yeah. Like, he's not like he's like a 5-year-old kid. He's like, he's like about to go into 7th grade or something. And some guy's like, I don't know, get rid of him. You barely know him.
They're circling him like sharks while they yell at each other. It's so crazy.
It's also saying there's no context for this. It just cuts from Paul listening to this music box to this shot of a kid on a bike. And I almost thought, like, because the rest of the movie, we just start cutting to other scenes. I didn't at first know this was a flashback. I'm like, are we in a different movie again now? Oh no, it's a flashback. Get rid of the kid. And then we see it's Paul, because it's Paul's voice is was this supposed to be on purpose? Is that it's clearly the guy's voice that's yelling, get rid of the kid, is Paul's voice, the actor who plays Paul.
I didn't catch that.
It would be even better if he was actually doing the voice of his own mother as well. Like, it was all going on in his head.
That would be amazing. And they come back to him and he's sitting on the stairs and he's, don't leave me, Mommy. I promise to be good. Mommy, take me with you. And we go to Paul and he's in the bathroom and he looks in the mirror. He's like shaving or something now. And I love this line to everybody goes,
Anna, I'll find you.
Now, what does he do? Does he spray his hair with red dye, or does he just spray he have like canned hair?
I don't know what that was.
No, it's red dye. He puts 2 streaks in his hair, and then we never see it again.
I was gonna say it never.
His hair's so dark it doesn't show up.
Right. It's like he tries to go for this big dramatic thing, and then goes, it's not what I pictured. It's really not how I envisioned it. I was going for like Tatanka, and it's not really.
And then we just cut to 2 people making out in a car in a parking lot. They're making out in a parking lot, and then all of a sudden Paul just randomly attacks this dude because he thinks that this lady who's with him is Anna, is his wife.
Which I thought it was Anna at first.
Me too.
My notes was, Anna's already moved on.
Oh man, you got the crazy too?
Well, yeah. I saw a flower dress and I didn't know what to think.
Same hairstyle.
Yeah, it's that easy. There's a great line delivery here, though. Before we see Paul, when the couple's making out, suddenly they're hit from off screen with like a pair of ice cubes. And the guy making out goes up and says, look, buddy, I don't know who you are. And then he closes his eyes and he pumps a fist and goes,
I don't know who you are, but I'm going to kick your ass.
Apparently Paul was behind the van or the car with like a styrofoam cup throwing ice cubes at him.
And he goes, what are you doing with my wife? And she goes, I'm not your wife, mister. And he goes, shut up, Anna. And then Shao Kahn goes, fight.
Yeah, and they get into this big fight, and Paul ends up beating this dude's ass, and he pokes his eyes out, and then he kicks his ass off a second story of a car park.
And the guy lands on a mid-sized SUV.
Oh, and he lands hard, man.
That is a great stunt.
I cringed.
Really way hard.
Because that's not a dummy. That was a real guy that fell on that car, because he gets up in the same shot, and you're like, Jesus.
Like, that was the stuntman's idea of just like, this looks dangerous. Could somebody park an SUV that'll break my fall?
Yeah, and Paul, make sure you hit me right on top of the SUV so I land flat on my back. And instead, he lands right on the corner of the thing and just kind of flips off it. Still lands on the ground.
You get the idea that after they called cut, the stunt guy looked up and went, I was thinking more like a mattress. He's like, I need something to land on. They're like, got it.
So then Paul goes for the lady, and we cut. And at this point, I'm very confused. I'm like, wait, was that Anna? Because I don't remember. Like, I didn't get a good look at her very much. You know, she's only in like 2 scenes very briefly. And so I was like, oh, maybe it was. I don't know. Fuck that. Cut to the restaurant, and Cynthia's working her shift, right? And the cop is here. Also, apparently, so Cynthia knows her customers very well, guys. Wouldn't you say?
Cynthia's very well loved.
Oh, yeah.
Because she walks up to some random girl and she's like, oh, hey, how you doing?
So, Tiffany, how you doing in school? Fine. I got an A in math. You did? Well, that's great. You know, you have to keep up.
I thought it was her sister at first.
I also thought it was her sister. But then there's a cop behind this girl that's sitting at a booth, and the cop's here, and he says, how about some coffee, black, and a smile?
Because we're supposed to like him.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Hey, this looks like a nice place, and I got hungry.
Right.
Well, how about some coffee, black, and a smile?
One thing I should have brought up is the dialogue in the Hong Kong version. When during the interrogation scene, he actually offers to let her join the force to like help them.
Like, what?
Yeah, he straight up just says like, "You could be helping us out," and she just turns him down, and he never follows up on like asking to team up again until they eventually just kind of do.
This isn't Castle.
In the Hong Kong version, he asked for a resume.
Basically,
he's like, "Yeah, we're hiring right now,"
while interrogating her for a crime.
Huh? Well, do you think that's how they hire most of the cops in Baltimore, where this movie was filmed?
In the world of this film, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, they're like, well, we know you're good at crimes. How about working for the good guys, huh? Yeah, she's in this restaurant, and the cop's here, and he's just like, yeah, I respect what you're doing. Oh, I gotta go. I gotta beep her. How much is the coffee? And then that random girl just says $1.50 or something. And he goes, oh, thank you. And then he leaves a tip, and he gets on out of there. And did he leave the full amount of money that he took from her in the interrogation room?
I assume so.
Looks like it.
Yeah, because she just picks it up, and she's all happy about it. And then the gang shows up, right? The Red Dragons.
Here come the boys.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, we got a new fight. Hey, set it up. And so then we cut from that to Paul has a strange lady tied up in some sort of hellhole gym.
It's like a home gym's torture sex dungeon, basically.
I just thought it was the back of a Costco.
Yeah, it really does. I'm just writing, what is happening? She keeps saying she isn't his wife, but Paul doesn't seem to listen. And then he starts whipping her with the chain.
Simon Belmont kinks.
Yeah. So then we go to the scene of the crime where the guy fell off the SUV. I guess the stuntman didn't live. The cop is here. And guys, do you know who died?
This is interesting because the guy goes, this guy was beaten to death, broken nose, eyes torn out. You want to know the kicker? This is Sung Kim. And then the other cop responds, oh, the world karate champ?
Yeah. He pauses for effect. Like he goes, it was Sun Kim. Like the audience is going to go,
oh my God.
This guy was beaten to death. He's got a broken nose. His eyes were torn out. You ready for the kicker? This was Sung Kim.
World karate champ?
He's like the one that kickboxing guy showed up in the Human Tornado.
Yeah.
And everybody stopped to be like, oh shit, it's that guy.
Yeah,
And then they go from Sung Kim, world karate champ, and they look over at a porta potty where they find the girl who has been stuffed in there. And they took a glance at her, and he says, it looks like she was tortured and raped. I'm like, how the hell did you figure that out from a glance in the porta potty?
It's best not to ask those questions.
He's seen it all, Bobby.
Stingray drove him to his torture, like Halloween house dungeon, and then drove her back and shoved her in a porta potty.
Yeah, after taking her eyes out too.
Yeah, so he returned to the scene of the crime? When did all this happen?
Yeah, that's his MO.
Well, because he was like, well, I'll do the cops a favor and put both bodies in the same location. It would be really rude of me to put her somewhere else. So they might think it's unrelated.
He killed the guy in broad daylight. So no one found the body in the time it took to take the woman back to his lair, do his thing, and then bring her back.
Yeah, I guess except for the guy who came to go get his SUV and there was a guy on the ground. That's a real awkward trip to the mall. You come back, you go, oh. At that point, do you just leave or do you call the cops? Or do you try to wake the guy up and you go, look, man, somebody's got to pay for that roof. Hello? Oh,
Do you call your insurance agent?
yeah. Look, I know. I don't know what happened to your eyes, but we got to sort this out, man. So then we cut to Cynthia at a fight now, right? And she says, "Hey, Rocco, where is this big bear?" And guys, so this devolves into a real like Street Fighter level of fighting because we now have this man who comes out to fight Cynthia who's walking around in football pads, and his name is the Bear.
Yeah, he's in like Zubas and football pads.
Yeah.
All of his fans are also decked out in football fan gear. So this is the football fan level of the fighting game.
I should mention though, in Bloody Mary Killer, he's called Hung, Hung, like like the Chinese name.
Wow.
Bear. This very white dude is called Hung.
Of course he is.
Huh.
Because he's hung like a bear.
Yes, Strong Hung is what they call him.
Strong hung.
When I'm ready, this is fucking bullshit. You can't wear armor to a fight. Like, he's got pads on.
Yeah, I thought that was bullshit.
Yeah. And then when they start to fight, well, also he has these amazing one-liners where he looks at Cynthia and says, "Hey, rookie, I'm going to put you on injured reserve." And then she responds with...
And she responds that with...
It's game time, rookie. Time to place you on injured reserve.
Poor little baby bear. Had to steal his mama's Tupperware. Now it's time to play.
Huh?
I don't understand that.
Is that a reference to the football pads? Or
I guess.
I think so.
Or did he walk up with a lunch?
Look, she's not great at trash talk.
Okay.
She's here to do the split.
Yeah. So this guy also, not only does he wear football pads, but he gets into a position like he's a linebacker.
Yeah, he gets in the 3-point stance.
Like he's Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Damn right. That's the first thought I had.
He almost like waits for somebody to say hike before the fight starts. It's very weird.
And Cynthia sees this, and she just shakes her head and goes, "Jocks." And starts working his body because it's not wearing any armor.
Yeah. And you also know how it's going to fight his first move because clearly when somebody says hike, he's going to charge at him. He's going to try to do the spear.
Yeah.
And so she immediately dodges.
But after some low work, some gut punches, they both just stop for a moment and just stand there. And then some dude in the background goes, "Awesome, yeah!"
Yeah, the extra work is pretty amazing in this scene.
Awesome! Yeah! Come on, kick her butt there! Get her! Come on, you can get her!
And so Cynthia just manhandles this dude.
He manhandles himself. She doesn't even touch him. He just sort of flips.
Here's the thing. Did you guys notice this? I'm pretty sure that the lady who got killed in the last scene, who was the Anna, was in this scene as an extra. I'm almost
I wouldn't doubt that.
positive she was the one they cut to that said, "Yeah."
Well, no, isn't that Bear's girlfriend?
Except the next scene actually explains who she is.
Yeah, I think it's the same lady.
No, they're just all supposed to look the same.
Mike-
You missed a big plot point.
Mike, you're just like Stingray.
No, I understand, but I'm almost positive it was just the same actress.
You know that's the point of this movie, right?
No, I do. I know it's the point. I'm just like, I don't think they hired somebody else. So I'm wondering if that was intentional or if I'm crazy. I know what you're saying. I did turn into Stingray while I was watching this.
I know I've been to your house, Mike, but do you have an aquarium?
So apparently, this is the new Anna. So we had Anna, then we had new Anna, now we have the new Anna, because outside the fight, she's walking around, and then Paul pulls up, and he sees her.
In a minivan?
Yeah, he pulls up in his minivan, his Dodge minivan, his Dodge Caravan, and he thinks the same thing as me, that this is the new Anna. So he follows Bear and new Anna back to his trailer, where we get the second Coke commercial, because after a big, long fight where you get your ass kicked, what do you need, guys?
Give me a Coke.
Okay, give me a minute. I gotta go to the can.
The can of Coke.
Yeah, Bear is really bummed about losing this fight, right? He just sits down in his lawn chair and he's like all pissed about it. And then Paul shows up and he just kidnaps the new Anna and then beats up Bear and kills him by snapping his neck.
And this fight was not featured at all in the Hong Kong version. This was,
Oh, really?
This was just skipped for time because we needed more of Robin and to establish his family and the girl I think he's in love with, but maybe not. So while this is happening, we're spending time with Robin and his father and going to Chinese restaurants.
That sounds nice.
So wait, they have some downtime.
I'd go to a Chinese restaurant with Robin Shu.
There's a beautiful...
In the version, the Hong Kong version, Robin Shu comes to America
Yes.
from Hong Kong, right?
Correct.
And while he's in America, he just eats in Chinese restaurants?
Absolutely. I know a lot of Chinese people, and they are always looking for the most authentic Chinese place. Just, I'm serious. Chinese people like their Chinese food.
You heard it here first, folks.
So Robin is doing what most people that come to this country do. He's testing the local fare, seeing how that Maryland Chinese cuisine, stacks up to the Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they do have a Coke plug too. They all order beers and Cokes.
Man, this Coke money must be serious.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm waiting for the Coke commercials with Cynthia Rothrock. Those could have been something, man.
They were really banking on it.
Doing the splits and like smashing a can open or something.
Oh yeah, she kicks like the bottle cap off a bottle and then drinks it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like some kid doesn't have a bottle opener, and Cynthia goes, "I'll take care of it," and just split kicks it off.
You know how Cokes have like the names on them now? Do you think one has Cynthia?
Oh, it's got to, right?
Yeah. But does one have Rothrock?
Does one have Bear?
I need a share a Coke with Stingray.
Apparently, in the alternate version, they just go around at various Chinese restaurants.
Well, during this one particular part, I believe this coincides with Robin's father has like a foster daughter who's just like some Chinese woman who came to America who he's like helping out. But also like Robin may or may not be in love with her. It's like, it's very fishy. Like if she's our love interest.
How the fuck does this coincide with a serial killer?
It doesn't at all. It doesn't.
So in the Hong Kong version, there's just some guy like going to Chinese restaurants, falling in love with a girl, trying to find his father, and at the same time we just cut back to Stingray murdering women?
Exactly, yes. And it's still just as fast paced as Undefeatable. He goes to meet his father, he goes with his friends to like the gym, to have some local Chinese food, they hang out, they have some really good fights. It's the pace exactly the same, but it just doesn't really...
Only his side of the movie is a rom-com.
Yeah, like
not exactly. The woman has like no lines. Shandy, as she is called, doesn't really have a place other than to be the film's just token woman for like Robin's side.
Huh. This is mind-blowing.
That is the thing in Hong Kong movies though, where like there is a token female that may be a romantic interest, but it's very chaste.
It pays off in a good way. I'm holding off on this, but I'm very excited about the ending.
She tears off a mask and she's Stingray. Surprise, Anna!
So, okay, what we see in ours now is that we go from the scene of Bear getting his neck snapped. Now the cop is training in martial arts, and I'm like, well, I guess everybody in this movie is just a martial arts master. Like everybody in Maryland where they filmed this movie.
Everybody in this movie knows martial arts.
And then the chief shows up. Well, by the way, the cop is working with his partner on martial arts moves, and then the chief shows up and just goes, "The fuck, get back to work. Shouldn't you guys be catching a serial killer instead of fucking around?"
I'm assuming this dojo is just within their police station. Like that's just how this town works.
Yeah. I believe it.
And he's like, "Hey guys, there is a serial killer on the loose." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we should probably go work." And then we just cut to Paul. He's like walking into a mall or something, and then he bumps into a lady with a box full of stuff. And man, is she ready to go? Because she drops her stuff and Paul helps her, and she's like, "Oh,
sorry for the accident.
You could stop by my place for a drink and make it up to me."
And then he just looks at her and he goes, "No," because he has spotted the new Anna. It's barely even referenced, but this is Cynthia's sister.
Yeah.
It's not really established in the scene because you've only seen her briefly just twice, and you're like, oh, he's just found another lady. And then you come to find out, oh, she's Cynthia's sister. And you kind of realize that because she also knows Kung Fu.
Everybody knows Kung Fu.
Paul and her have like a fight. He takes out her boyfriend really easy, and then he gets in a fight with her.
Her boyfriend is Robin's brother. Actually, we never find this out in Undefeatable, but if you watch The Bloody Mary Killer, that's Robin's brother. And that drives him on a thing of revenge, but he never interacts with Stingray. This motivates him, but in no way that actually matters.
How does it just motivate him to be a better person? Or my brother's got murdered, I'm going to be a better person.
To go after the triad. He keeps fighting the triad, but like, so the guy with Anna is his brother Michael. Then Shandy tells his dad, and his dad has a heart condition, so he can barely stand to take it. And so we established that because we need to know that later on.
So they just got to tell him the news real slow. He's like, but the ticket's really bad, so just let me Tell me, I know he might have died, but just tell me really slow so I can take it.
He can barely handle it. But as far as like Mike dying and like it really affecting these characters, I don't think they even know who Stingray is. So I'm really confused.
He's just some casualty at a mall. Like, it's just like, well, shit happens. I don't think it has anything to do with that other movie that's going on right now, but maybe we'll cross paths with Cynthia, whose sister died at the hands of Stingray, and I'll just kind of give her a little tip of the hat.
The autopsy, the morgue scenes are basically back to back, where Robin sees his brother and Cynthia sees her sister.
They bump into each other in the hallway.
Wait,
so from one part to the next?
Shot from the same angle, lit the same way. Nick's partner, whatever.
Is it the same morgue?
Yes, it's the same morgue. It's the same table.
So does Cynthia walk in and then she walks out and then
Robbins goes first. There's that scene where Cynthia is training in her backyard with her like crazy swords, and then she gets told that she's dead. Then she goes to the morgue, and it's just same angles, same room, just shot for shot, like the same thing, except it's Cynthia reacting instead of Robin.
Oh, how amazing what that would have been is if that was the one scene that they met. It's just at the morgue. Like, Robin's in there first, and then he walks out, and Cynthia goes, "Oh, hey.
Yeah.
You here too to see your dead?" Okay, what happens at the end of the one scene is Paul, like, he kills apparently a character that's in a whole different movie's brother. At this point, he kills Karen, right? Does he kill her right here? Well, no, he doesn't really. All we see is him chasing her like the T-1000. He just walks like Robert Patrick over to her, like, really slow. And then we just cut to Cynthia training in her backyard with all those sword things. And the cop walks up.
Which I looked up what those swords are called because I expected them to have a really cool name.
Yeah.
But they are literally just called hook swords.
Well, they've got like 5 names.
But like, it's basically hook sword.
Hook sword is the most general. And then there's something else there's like tiger hook sword or something like that is another name that it has. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, play Mortal Kombat 3. It's the weapon that Cabal uses.
So Cynthia's just training with those, and the cop comes up. He goes, "Hey, I got some bad news. Your sister's dead." So then we go to the morgue, and I love this when the guy from the morgue, does he also say this to Robin, where he looks at him and he goes, "I want to warn you, this isn't going to be easy."
I want to warn you. This isn't going to be easy.
No, he's kind of throws it off. He's like, you know this guy?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he gives Cynthia the full... I love this line, though, too, where he's like, "Okay, I'm going to pull the cloth off, but I want to warn you, it's not going to be easy to see your dead sister." He pulls the cloth off. Her eyes are totally out. It's Karen. And Cynthia, man, even though she's looking at Godfrey Ho's hand, the waterworks are going.
Do you think they warned her about the eyes?
Yeah, they oh shit! I should have said something about the eyes. God damn it!
Right.
Oh,
I have to warn you, the special effect is not very good. Oh, it's like someone paper mache'd her eyes closed.
Can we do this again? I know this is really weird, but let me put the cloth back on. We'll try it again, okay? Cynthia is acting, and she's acting for a long time because for some reason they just refuse to cut.
Oh yeah,
it was like she was just waiting to hear cut, and she's just no, and then bangs the wall a little bit. And then goes, "No!" again. And she's like, am I still Godfrey? Hello? And then she's still acting and acting and acting. It's like a 2-minute scene of her just reacting to her dead sister, which is apparently just the director's hand on a table.
Do you think he drew a little face on his hand?
A face with no eyes.
Just like Sharpied X's.
Yeah, do you think he was talking with the hand to her?
I'm Papagino. Okay, now look down at me. I am your sister. Hello.
They pulled back the sheet and then pulled off the sock.
So now we watch some guy in a red gi jumping around on boxes while
Jimmy from Double Dragon?
Yeah, so a Double Dragon character and random people are cheering him on. And Bobby, they toss him an apple, and what does he do?
Oh, he crushes it in his hand.
With his bare hands, guys. Fucking grabs that
That's
out.
it, just boom.
Boom.
And they all cheer.
And then Cynthia shows up looking pissed, and she wants to fight the guy, not because it's a new fight for money. She just says he has a reputation for hurting women. And I'm just writing, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he's like, are you talking about so-and-so? Because I haven't. She goes, I'm talking about my sister. Your ass is mine.
This guy looks 15.
He does. He looks very young. And here's the thing is, he doesn't ever say anything like, what are you talking about? He just goes like, yeah, let's fight.
In In the Hong Kong version, he does. He's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" He does and Cynthia doesn't let up.
In this version, they never deny being rapists and murderers.
She's like, I know you rape and kill women, or you're rough with women, and I feel like you did that to my sister. He never denies it. They just immediately go to a fight.
He's like, I do that to a lot of women.
But I do love how they fight on top of these barrels. But then we also learn that this guy, not only can he break apples with his bare hands, but he also thinks that he's a cat man.
He's got claws like Vega from Street Fighter, too.
Yeah, he's got claws, but they're like small, they're like cat claws. Like they're barely come out of the gloves, like little teeny knives.
It's like those handmade ones that Michelle Pfeiffer made in Batman Returns.
Yes.
Definitely.
Remember that scene? It's exactly like that.
And with those claws, he grabs a little bit of her hair and then blows it back at her.
Yeah. Cynthia kicks the cat man off some barrels onto some boxes.
Again, no, she doesn't.
You're saying that again, the guy did it to himself?
Yeah, watch it at the scene again. Like, she kicks him, and then he,
She misses by at least 2 feet.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just kind of corkscrew dives onto a bunch of barrels back first.
And I do like this is so then the cops show up, right? And this is when I first realized they couldn't even afford to get a cop car for the movie because they're just driving like a shitty Buick.
They never wear uniforms either.
I'm not sure these are cops.
No. They're just bringing Cynthia into some random interrogation room. So they show up and he's just like, hey, I'm bringing you into the station. And I write, he's bringing her and Mr. Boom, apparently, because he makes his debut in this movie. Welcome back, Grindbin All-Star Mr. Boom. We can see in the windshield of the Buick very prominently. Love that.
And he says, I was worried about you because you stormed out of the morgue on me. Dude, you just showed her eyeless dead sister. He's like, where are you going?
She'll be fine.
Was it something I said?
Did you guys notice that between the fight and her arriving at the police station, she's done her hair?
Yes. Okay, so that's the thing.
She's got her hair.
This next interrogation scene was clearly filmed at another time, right? Because her hairdo is nowhere near what her hair is in the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie, she just has straight hair. And in this scene, she's got it all permed up.
She's ready for a night on the town. She's ready to go out with Linda.
Yes, at some point between the fight and the interrogation room, they stop to get her hair done. This is when we learn that there's the technique may be used in the killings is the eagle claw kung fu technique. They're apparently looking for a much bigger fish than that guy from Double Dragon who just jumped off a pair of barrels into boxes. And he goes, but stay out of the investigation, which is great because he goes, look, Cynthia, you got to stay out of the investigation, but I'm going to give you a big clue right now. But don't follow up on it. And he goes, now get out of here. I'm going to put you into jail. And then Cynthia leaves, and then the cop's partner comes back in, and he's like, you shouldn't be doing this. Then we go to the next scene. Cynthia's hair is back to normal, and she's hanging out with the gang, right? One of the gang guys goes, oh, I think I might know who killed your sister because I also have this weird scar on my neck that your sister had. Is it a scar or just like a bump on the neck or something?
I couldn't even see it, really.
I used my imagination to figure out what he was referring to.
It just, from what I could see, it was 2 red marks.
So then we go to another fight because apparently this is the guy, and they show up. So is this the suit guys from the beginning that were offering $600 for the fight? They somehow set up a fight with these guys?
It's 2 of the 3.
Okay, so they're like, not only are we going to confront this guy, but we're also going to get some money on the side? Because apparently they show up and Cynthia's like, hey, I want to know about my sister's death before the fight starts. And then one of the suit guys, they just go, no personal stuff, and then they just leave.
He goes, take your money, don't call me, I didn't see you.
This is kind of big. The guy she fights in the scene is essentially and I use this term very loosely, he's essentially the antagonist of Robin's story.
What?
The guy she fights here. He is. He's been in Robin's movie since the very beginning. He's big with the triad.
Well, that explains why he's like, about your sister's death, I don't give a shit, because he's in a different movie.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yes.
So it's like they had this movie that wasn't quite there, but for the Hong Kong audience, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's fill in those gaps, huh, guys? And they actually filled it in and gave these characters a purpose. I really got to know which movie came first at this point.
They call him, I think, Ryko in Undefeatable, but he's called Ricky in The Bloody Mary Killer. And he's just all throughout that movie. He doesn't really, other than just being a bad guy, he's not in any meaningful way. He doesn't really oppose Robin or really do anything. He didn't kill Michael, but he's just kind of the last guy he has to beat. He's more of a final boss. than a villain. Because I mean, this movie kind of moves along like a video game. It's like moving from stage to stage rather than any sort of real narrative.
Weird. This is crazy. So in our version of the movie, this guy doesn't mean anything. They just show up to the fight. The suit guys are there, and they're like, we don't do personal business. We're taking everybody elsewhere. Instead of a fight, and then the cop just shows up with like a dirty Harry gun and just starts firing it into the air, and he goes, all right, settle down. And then we learn that Cynthia called him?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's the only one who isn't pushed up against the wall. Like all the villains and all of like her boys are up against the wall, but he lets her.
But then what's with the suit guys? Like she also was like, well, I'll call the cops, but I also got to get some money.
And he's after the suit guys. Like that was his whole deal at the beginning of the movie that he wanted to know who was like doing these street fights. There. These guys left. They're like 2 blocks down from now.
But I think what Cynthia did was she told the suit guys, I want to fight this guy, set it up. That's how she got that guy to that location. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to get to him.
But then let them go before the cop showed up. Because at the beginning of the movie, like Shane's saying, the whole point of the cop doing anything was to find out who was setting up these fights. And those guys were right there, and now they're gone. So, fuck it. So then we just go to a funeral, right? So Cynthia's talking to one of Karen's teachers we saw very briefly in the beginning of the movie, but we also learned that she's a psychologist.
She's the same psychologist.
Yeah, she's the lady from the start of the movie. And then the cops here, I love this. So she's at her sister's funeral, and the cop walks up to Cynthia and goes, hey, if you're not busy, maybe you can come and watch this martial arts demonstration with me at the police station. And I'm like, well, she is at her sister's funeral. I would assume she's busy at the moment.
This guy's timing is impeccable. He's like, hey, I know you're at your sister's funeral, but you want to like come hang out? See what happens? Keep it casual.
Oh, have they not put the body in the ground yet? Oh, okay. Well, maybe like 30 minutes from now, we're going to go watch this demonstration down at the station. And so they go down and they just watch this guy, and he's doing this demo, and he goes, this technique is only known by 3 Americans. And they get a list of the names.
They're all local.
Yeah, they're all local. All 3 of them. They just happen to be in Maryland. So the first house, they come looking for a man named Mr. Stewart. And then this lady from the neighborhood watch comes by, and she's just like, what are you doing here? And he's like, we're looking for this guy. And she goes, he's not there. Cut. That's it.
He's on vacation, so he can't be a suspect.
Oh, okay. So he wouldn't have murdered people. What, did he murder somebody yesterday? She's like, no, I think he's been gone. Oh, okay. Yeah, check it off the list. Second house is a trailer. Man, does this get uncomfortable?
A little bit.
So they show up to this guy's trailer. And they're like, hey, we're looking for this guy. And then this girl goes, okay. And then a guy in a wheelchair rolls up to the door. And the cop's like, oh, yeah, we're looking for this guy. And he goes, I'm him. And you just see the cop's face go, oh.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, he couldn't have murdered anybody. He's in a wheelchair.
Clearly, they've never seen Mr. No Legs.
Exactly, Tanner. But no, now we go to the gym location, right? So we just go to a random gym. And then for no reason, this guy goes, shit, that cop's here. Take care of him. And I'm just reading, wait, what? What? Because all of a sudden, for no reason, all these guys in like a kung fu gym just assault a police officer.
In both versions, this makes no sense.
It doesn't even make any sense because he's like, oh shit, that cop is here. And so we're thinking, oh, this must have something to do with the killer. We'll see. But no, these guys just randomly assault a police officer. This guy who says, oh shit, the cop's here, tries to run out the back door, and Cynthia runs through and kicks his ass. And then the cop beats up all these guys and he goes, you have the right to remain silent, so do me a favor and shut the hell up.
Good one.
And then guess what, guys? The scene cuts. And the next scene explains that this had nothing to do with anything.
And they're just like, so much for Wu's list, I guess.
So the guy goes, shit, that cop's here, take care of him. He knows who the cop is. They get in this huge fight, and then they go, oh, yeah, about that. Nah, it didn't mean anything.
I think they named this guy in Bloody Mary, and they call him, like, Dragon Bridge. Like the white guy in the gym. I think like that's his name or like his title or something.
Man, because in our version, it makes no sense. It's just like, we just got in another fight scene. Fuck it. Go back to the police station. Yeah, that's what he goes. The partner walks in and he goes, so I hear that guy you beat up had nothing to do with the murder. and the cop's like, oh yeah, that sucked. Good news though, the partner has tickets for tonight's game, guys. Mid-court, 5th row, high five.
I got good news and I got bad news.
Give me the damn bad news first.
Fist is not our man. The lab results don't match.
I know. Lab guys were just here.
So much for Wu's list, huh?
Yeah. I've called in a psychiatrist from the university. I hope she can shed some light on this thing.
Good idea.
So what's the good news?
I got tickets for tomorrow night's game. Mid-court, 5th row.
All right.
Sports.
So then the psychiatrist comes in, right? And the partner, he looks at her and he goes,
Sergeant DeMarco?
Here she is now.
She's a psychiatrist?
Down, boy.
the partner leaves the movie and the psychiatrist and the cop try to investigate the case. She's like, I've been thinking a lot, and I think that this guy's a real mama's boy.
Fair.
Because he has a fixation with one type of woman. And the cop goes, well, how come he's staring out the eyes? She's like, I don't know. Don't know about that one. And then she goes, but, oh my God, this picture, I think I know one of these ladies. And guys, is the picture she pulls up of a dead lady that she's looking at?
Yeah. If memory serves, it was like, how much, because I think, isn't it Cynthia's sister?
Yeah, but the problem is that she says, oh, I think I know a lady who looks like this or is this lady, and her name is Anna. She knows somehow, and I'm like, wait, how did they get a picture of Anna? Because she is not dead. She just ran away.
Well, it looks like Anna. So she's looking at this like, hey, this looks like my patient that has a crazy husband.
I couldn't tell.
Because those women all do kind of look like Anna.
They do, yeah. So much so that they may have used the same actress at multiple points.
Also, they refer to Anna as a redhead, and she's not a redhead. She's a brunette. Every Anna... quote unquote Anna is a brunette, but they keep calling her a redhead.
Yeah, because there's a line where she's like, he's in the same redhead. And we're like, who?
Yeah, I was like...
And then Paul comes home, right, the next scene, and he gets the mail, love that, and then he sees a letter from the psychiatrist's office, and then he remembers in his head something about Anna saying about how she talked to her psychiatrist and she was helping her. And so now he's got that, like, oh, I'm going to go attack her. So we go to the psychiatrist's office, and she calls the cop, and she goes, I think I know who that girl that he's trying to kill is, because this lady named Anna really loves flower dresses, and irises in particular were her favorite. And I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like, all of a sudden they just solved the case off screen?
Yeah, she just pieced it all together. She's like, yeah, flower dress lady whose husband's a violent professional fighter who knows a lot of martial arts.
In the very next scene, this only gets worse when they talk to Cynthia again, because she just flat out says, oh yeah, I know this guy named Stingray.
Yeah.
That's the very next scene. She already knows who this is.
Well, while this is going on, apparently, so the psychiatrist and the cops arrive at Paul's house. They break in. He's not there. But they call for the lab to dust prints. Then Paul, at the same time, is at the psychiatrist's office. So he showed up there. The assistant's like, oh, she's not in right now. And he goes, oh, I'll just hang out. I want to surprise her, which is what you want to hear in a psychiatrist's office, that somebody's just going to surprise a doctor. But yes, the scene where the cop meets Cynthia, like they had no idea how to get them to meet up. So she's just randomly running in a park and he somehow meets her there.
Yeah. Why not?
That's when she says, oh, yeah, I know all about this guy named Paul. He's his name's Stingray. He's like this world-class fighter and everything. You think he'd have anything to do with killing people and ripping their eyes out?
This is also where we find out in Bloody Mary that he goes by Devilfish in that version. And I love that name more.
Devilfish?
Devilfish.
Is the Stingray just called the Devilfish or something?
I believe so.
Maybe. It sounds like a spicy... a spicy Chinese fish dish.
The Devilfish.
It's also a G.I. Joe vehicle from 1984. It's the small orange motorboat, often piloted by Shipwreck in the box art and on the cartoon. It's the G.I. Joe Devilfish.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So she also says, she goes, oh yeah, that Stingray guy. And also I know his bookie. So then the bookie, we cut to him, he's calling Paul and he goes, hey Paul, there's a big fight on Friday, Stingray, and I haven't heard from you. So just making sure that everything's good. And then Paul doesn't say a word and just like hangs up on him. And the bookie's like, oh, I don't know. There's something wrong with this guy. I don't know. Probably some broad or something. And then he just leaves and his assistant's like, all pissed. Cause she's like, but you got in a meeting and you're going to miss it and everything. He's like, I got to go. And at the same time he leaves, Cynthia, the cop, shows up. They're like, hey, can we see that bookie? And she's like, he just left. And then they're like, oh, okay. I guess we don't have anything to do. And the cop looks at the assistant and goes, well, if you could tell us anything, here's my number or something. And then for no reason at all, the assistant hits on her?
Yeah, she's way into that copper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she goes full Scorchy for him.
And there's that part when Cynthia is like, for some reason, they're not even looking for the bookie like he's the bad guy, but for some reason Cynthia hates him because they show up and Cynthia's like, is this a picture of him here on the wall? There's a picture of him. And the assistant's like, yeah, he's a really nice guy. And she's like,
Is this him?
Yeah, cute, ain't he?
Yeah, he's a real sweetheart.
In the first scene he was in, I noticed he gave off a certain like Mr. Crown energy, or at least like what I picture.
Absolutely.
He's got the cigar, he's got
definitely.
the phone, balding, the suit.
This is definitely Mr.
Like-
Crown's brother, his brother who has a fetish for watching high-priced death fights.
Oh yeah, this is Kevin Crown.
Yeah, Kevin Crown. Cynthia, the cop, just leave, and then the bookie shows up to see Stingray at his red light gym. And I do love this. He's like, "Hey, Paul, how about that fight? Everything going on? Hey, Paul, oh, you got some fish? I didn't know he had a fish tank." And then he looks into the fish tank.
Why? He's got a tank full of ice cream man eyeballs.
And I do love the part when the bookie looks at it, he goes, "What's Stingray gonna have eyeballs in a fish tank for?"
What's Stingray have eyeballs in a fish tank?
And so then the bookie looks like he walks over, and apparently Paul, he's kind of he's a messy guy because he's got the new Anna just laying in a dumpster, really lazy, just hanging her legs out and everything.
Oh, it's great. I love when he's approaching, it's very clearly not human legs. They are like, I don't know, felt or like a doll's
Like
legs.
Kermit legs just hanging out of this place.
Yeah, or like made out of like paper mache legs, and then there's a reverse angle, and suddenly they're real legs, and he opens the thing and sees the dead body. Is there a dead puppet in that box?
They couldn't even get a woman to lay in the dumpster. They had to make paper mache legs.
Maybe they didn't pay her either, so she walked off the set.
It's all right. I got some Jim Henson legs in my truck. We'll use those. It's fine. So then the bookie looks over. He's like, "Oh, I think I should go." And then Paul appears behind him. So Stingray's here, and he's like, the bookie's all, "Oh, hey man, just wanted to see you. Looks like you're busy and everything." And now he can't let him leave, right? Well, Stingray says, "All you care about is the money." And I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, that's
It's a working relationship.
Sounds about right.
And I was like, I don't really think he cares about your wife, man. Like, I don't think I can't imagine a scene where the bookie gets to know Stingray on a personal level. He goes, "Stingray, I really love how you kick those guys' asses and kill them in the ring. Why don't you tell me about yourself, though, huh?"
Didn't they say something about him helping him out when he got back from Japan?
Oh, yeah, there was a line
There's
like that.
There's like some sort of like vague reference to a backstory we never explore. Like he was in Okinawa, I think.
Remember how we were best friends growing up? Your mom made the best spaghetti.
But then Paul just kills the bookie, right? So goodbye, Kevin Crown. And then he puts his eyes in the fish tank. And I do love that scene of him dropping them in the fish tank and kind of watching them fall down like a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
Just going, "Hee."
And in the Hong Kong version, because obviously the Hong Kong audience isn't going to care much about these Americans, this scene plays out. Kevin Crown walks in, sees the body, and Stingray just immediately snaps his neck. There's no conversation.
There's no like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Nope. Neck snaps, you see the eyeballs going in the tank.
Oh, did you even get to see the felt legs or no?
A little bit, I think. It just plays out a lot more, and there's like no dialogue, basically.
So then the next scene is a crime scene where apparently, for no reason at all, Stingray has just dumped the body in public of the bookie. Like he just dumps him behind some sort of power grid or something, because the cops pull up and they find the dead bookie, and then the cop just goes, "Damn, we were so close." And that's it. That's the whole scene. Cut to the psychiatrist. She has received a letter from Anna thanking her, and she's like, "Yeah, it's all cool over here. I'm good." So the real Anna is fine, apparently. And the psychiatrist was apparently on the phone. She hangs up with the cop, and then, oh my God, Paul is here, right? And guys, the psychiatrist is also a karate champ.
Everyone knows karate in this town.
At this point, when she started busting, I started laughing. I just couldn't.
I know, and it's great too because she starts busting out all these moves, and Paul is just fucking no selling this, man. Like it's just bouncing off his face, and he just nope, not gonna sell it.
He's not even surprised that this woman knows karate or kung fu or any martial art. He is there because it's not a surprise in this world. Everyone knows it.
Kind of makes you wonder if the receptionist lady also busted out some martial arts before he killed her.
Now the thing with the receptionist lady is he didn't take the eyes. Apparently, she was just because when the psychiatrist finds her, she was just
in the way.
Yeah, she's just like laying randomly on the desk. It's like, well, you could add those to the collection.
Was he like walking around with a Pringles can? He couldn't put them anywhere.
Well,
I thought the eyes were exclusively like an Anna or an Anna type thing, but he also took Lou's eyes.
Oh, subtext.
And the guy in the parking garage.
Yeah, see, so he's taking eyes, but the thing is, Bobby, they wanted that Pringles money, because he was going to go, once you pop, you can't stop. But the Pringles people would not bite, so they cut that part out of the
Oh,
movie.
I forgot to mention during the rape scene, there's a very prominent Kit Kat box in that scene.
And then, no, there's not a part where she looks over and goes, "Give me a break, Paul."
Oh, God.
No, in that scene, you can see the Kit Kat box a lot.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Like Nestle, you guys.
Wait, that's not a joke. There's actually a Kit Kat box.
No, I wouldn't joke about
properly.
this. Seriously.
Oh my God.
When you first in that scene, there's a label out Kit Kats.
How dare you suggest that Shane would joke about such a thing,
Of
Mike?
course not.
Could you imagine
How dare
Mr.
you?
Kit Kat? Could you imagine Mr. Kit Kat seeing that?
They thought Nestle would bite on the marital rape scene, but sadly, they thought it was a bit much.
Godfrey Ho goes, "Send this over to the people at Kit Kat. They're gonna love it. Look, we put your product very prominently in our newest movie. Just fire it up. It's in the first 5 minutes." You just see that going on in a boardroom. They're like, "All right, everybody, we're going to screen this movie. Apparently, we got some good product placement potentially. We got the whole marketing team here. All right, let's press play."
Do you think when they sent them the footage, when Stingray's having those visions of beating up the guy, it's actually him breaking a Kit Kat?
Wait. So if the Hong Kong version was made afterwards, you think they added in the Kit Kat? Like they refilmed that scene and then put it in there? Or did they just superimpose a Kit Kat?
I noticed it when I first watched it, when I watched the original, like the Undefeatable version. So it's always been there. The Kit Kat was always meant to be. No version exists where there isn't Kit Kat in the race.
That's heavy, man.
The
Kit Kat was always meant to be.
It's a large box too. It's not.
It's like a Costco sized Kit Kat.
It is.
This is amazing. So in the movie we're watching, we're back at the gym dungeon, and the psychiatrist is now turning the table. She's pretending to be Anna, because apparently also Anna not only sent the psychiatrist a letter, but also for some random reason sent her a bottle of her favorite perfume.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's a weird idea.
I think Anna's setting her up.
Well, it kind of seems that way because she's wearing the favorite perfume and she's like, "Oh, Paul, look, it's me, Anna. I even wore your favorite perfume." And I'm actually...
Yeah, she's pulling a Jason.
Yeah, and Paul's falling for it, right? And she goes, "Oh, come on, Paul, just get me out of these chains. I'll make you some tea, okay? And I'll give you a nice massage." And you think he's going for it. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Okay, no." And then they fight for a bit. Paul wins. And then he lets her go again because now she's like pretending to be his mom.
She switches into Mrs. Voorhees, and he starts reassuring her that he'll be a good boy while she hulks up, and she goes over to his fridge and says, "There's no food in this refrigerator, Paul. I'm going to go get some groceries. You wait here." And that almost works.
Yeah, and then right when she's about to leave, he goes, "Oh, no, I don't want you leaving again." And so he chains her back up and he goes, "I'll go to the store for you, mommy." And at this point, I'm just writing, what in the world is happening? Paul leaves, and her cell phone's ringing in a purse, and she can't get to it. But then for 2 minutes of screen time, she does try and finally gets to it. And it's Cynthia just on a payphone. And I love this as she answers the phone. She's like, "Hello?" And Cynthia's like, "Hello, psychiatrist lady? Is that you? I could barely hear you. Is something wrong?" And she's like, help me. I'm at this warehouse on so-and-so." And Cynthia's like, "All right, I'm on my way." And she hangs up and then makes another phone call. Because the cop's not even there. It doesn't even make sense. She just like leaves a message with the police dispatcher and she's like repeating the address over and over again. So then Paul drives a Dodge Caravan, is what we see, right? And he comes back. He's back from the store. And I do love this as he walks into the scene with a bag full of groceries. And he's like, "All right, I got everything. We're all good to go. Hey, Mom." And that's Cynthia pretending to be the psychologist in chains, but only for a second because she just like immediately spins around and then they start fighting. And they have this very epic...
Surprise, sucker.
Yeah, they have this very epic, like 2-minute fight scene until for no reason at all, they both just freeze frame while packing popcorn is flying through the air.
John Woo.
It's a pretty nice moment.
That is the weirdest. Yeah, it's so low rent John Woo.
Yeah.
It was almost like everybody's like, "This is so fucking cool." And the actors are like, "Let's just fucking drink this in for a second," right? And then everybody just pauses and watches. And then the cops run in and ruin it because they start a gunfight. And then, guys, you remember that partner? He had tickets to the game 2 days away from retirement, guys.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot that that's the thing. Yeah. That's his like, "I got a gal back home. I can't wait to get back to her," or "I'm about to retire." It's his gravitas is, "I had tickets to the big game."
And I was like, no, that guy we kind of knew. He died. And he's just kind of going, and there's a tender moment, and everybody's sad when he dies. And at the same time that he's dying, they just let Stingray get away.
Some things are more important.
Yeah, everybody just freezes. They're like, oh, man, well, that sucks. Do you think while he was dying, like, the one cop's like, well, can I have tickets to the game? Oh, he's already died.
Maybe quick, check his pockets. Maybe he's got the tickets in his pocket.
He would want us to go.
And he's like, hey, Cynthia, if you aren't doing anything later, you want to go to the game? I mean, I know we got to get Stingray and all and avenge your sister, but he's our fifth row.
This is what he would have wanted.
Yeah, and instead of the end scene where there's a big fight, they actually just go to a basketball game. Credits roll over her and the cop eating some popcorn, cheering as a slam dunk happens. And instead, we go to a hospital. The cop and Cynthia are there to visit the psychiatrist. Cynthia has her arm in a sling because she apparently got like a little cut in the fight. Like all it was that a blade barely glanced her, but apparently her arm's broken now.
Yeah, she got cut and then she's broken.
Yeah, it's just like the tiniest little cut, but somehow it deserves a sling, which I think will disappear in the next scene, by the way.
That's not how you nurse the cut.
Well, then the cop leaves the room. I love this. So they both leave the room, right? The cop and Cynthia, because psychiatrist says she's fine. And then he tells the guard, he's like, all right, make sure somebody's watching this door for 24 hours, okay? And we're going to play the line, but the guard goes,
I want someone on this door 24 hours. No visitors.
Yes, sir. 24 hours? What about my lunch?
And pops a stick of gum.
Pops a Kit Kat.
So then we go to, I love this, is that what we really want at the end of our action movie is two people waiting for an elevator, right? Because they just stand by this elevator, Cynthia the cop, and he's like, don't worry, we'll get him. Man, these elevators take forever. Yeah, let's take the stairs. So then they walk down the stairs, but at the same time, Paul's just hiding out. So Stingray's hiding as a doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Stingray walks.
And at the same time, the cop and Cynthia are walking down the stairs. He goes, oh, man, I forgot my sunglasses. And so they go back to the room. And then I do love this, is they go back in and they find the guard. He's on the ground. And then the cop runs in and he goes, something's wrong. He's dead. But then also, I did like this. His sunglasses were right there on the bed. Continuity, guys.
Why were they on the bed? Why did he leave them there?
And then the cop and Cynthia corner Paul in some loading dock area, and it like now he's got a knife on the psychiatrist's neck, but she knows karate, so she gets out of it. And then there's like this big fight, but for some reason, and this pissed me off, Cynthia just leaves the scene, and so that the cop and Paul, so the cop and Stingray just have a fight where they just are two greased up buff dudes that try and flex a bunch and go real slow.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh, I didn't notice it, but maybe it's Cynthia leaves the scene to get the psychiatrist to safety, and that's why cop goes one-on-one with Stingray at first. That's my wink for it.
But she's gone for a while.
Yeah, because I'm writing in my notes, I'm like, I don't want to see this fight.
Yeah,
I want to see Cynthia fight. Like I didn't fucking fire this movie up to see what's his name. But instead we watched that for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden the shirts come off, guys. Lots of flexing going on, right? And they do their little greased up fight for a while until Cynthia comes back in to save the day with a towel.
Yeah, she just comes in and whips him with a wet towel.
She also shoves his eye into a knife, which is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's like
I thought it was like a coat hook on the wall.
Oh, okay. And he still fights. Paul and Cynthia are fighting now because, it gets very confusing, but like the cop got punched in the gut, so now he won't fight. And now it's Stingray and Cynthia. They go on for a while, and then the cop comes over, and this fight ends by the cop shoving Stingray's eye through a meat hook.
Yeah, it's a laundry hook.
Some sort
I thought it was like a laundry hook.
Linen. It's like where they're washing the sheets for the hospital.
Because then they hit a button and it lifts them up into the air. And Cynthia looks up and goes, we'll keep an eye out for you, Stingray. And then they wait a minute and the cop thinks of one for himself. And Nick goes, yeah, see ya.
Keep an eye out for you, Stingray.
Yeah, see ya.
What's really great is in the Hong Kong version, the lines are this. Like, Cynthia says, you've lost your eyes, killer. To which the cop says, you deserve this. You've lost your eyes. And then he just kind of...
Blind people deserve this.
Wow.
They say it very dramatic.
Blind people have it coming.
So yeah, he just kind of dangles off into the distance. Like they don't want to do the paperwork, so they're just going to let somebody else deal with it. And then we just go to Karen's grave. Cynthia's here with her gang. The cop shows up.
He's like, well, kid, we got him. He says, well, it's up to you, but I was wondering if you were going to stay with the Red Dragons. And so she slowly takes off her Chun-Li bracelets and, that she was using all throughout the movie, lays them on her sister's tombstone, says, well, I'm not going to be needing these anymore. And the two of them share an embrace, and the boys from the Red Dragons go, woo!
Fox as fuck.
And one of them goes, Christy, do you think we should apply to college? And then one of the boys goes, I told you. Our IQs are too high. And they're all high-fiving.
Yeah.
She says, well, go ahead and laugh, because I enrolled you guys. You start Monday.
Not how college works.
What?
And then they go, well, what about you, Cynthia?
Oh, no, not me. But then Officer Nick goes, yes, you, because I enrolled you too. And then what happened, Shane?
High fives. High fives on your sister's grave.
Group high five.
High fives all around. Everybody's going to college, guys. Yay.
Oh, it's the best. I'm glad it worked out for everybody.
Hey, Christy, you think we should really apply to college? I told you, man. Our IQs are too high.
Go ahead and laugh. I enrolled you guys. You all start Monday.
What about you?
Not me.
Yeah, it's you. I enrolled you too.
All right.
I love the irony that they're high-fiving over her sister's grave, who was supposed to be the one who's going to college, but now literally everyone else is.
Do you think they cut out the line where Cynthia goes, and because my sister's dead, I have all that money for her tuition?
I'm just going to pick up her courses.
Shane, please tell us how this ended in the Hong Kong version. Was it still the same college thing?
No. I'd say it's like the exact opposite. We got like too like goofy and cheery an ending for Unbreakable, but in Bloody Mary Killer, after Stingray is dead, well, before the scene with Stingray, we get the final battle between Ricky, the guy who Cynthia fought like once because he's part of the triad and Robin had to like beat him. It's like way more of an entertaining fight than like the greasy dudes flexing. It's actually like pretty crazy. Then after that, we get the full Stingray battle. And then instead of having them by Cynthia's sister's tombstone, we go back to that Chinese restaurant where our female lead, Shandy, is singing in a voice that is definitely not her own. And then she and Robin sit at a table. She's very sad that he's going back to Hong Kong now that all of this triad business is over. And she says, do you have to go? And he's like, yes. And then she just looks disappointedly into the corner and it flashes end. It's so sudden. It's so flaccid and disappointing. It's so... I burst out laughing. It was the most sudden thing. She looks so hard. She looks so just like downtrodden and then end.
So there's no line about everybody going to college either?
No one goes to college.
What a bizarre thing. So, guys, recommendations?
Yeah. Oh, strong. Absolutely. This movie's batshit. And for as much fun as I had watching it by myself, I think a group viewing would be amazing.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Shane, what do you think?
I'd recommend both versions. Watch Unbreakable and watch Bloody Mary Killer. I think you really get to appreciate both when you see them side by side.
Honestly, I'm a little meh about it. I think this is it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. I mean, in a post Mind Trap Grindbin, this movie just it's not enough.
Come on.
And there are better versions of this. Maybe the better version is Bloody Mary Killer. Yeah, like if it sounds interesting, if it sounds like something you'll like it. I whatever this movie.
I just hope we did it justice, guys, because this is a great movie, in my opinion. It is, like Bobby said, batshit. Man, I hope we did it justice for this episode, because I really did enjoy it. It's definitely worth watching. And I'm definitely going to watch the other version, too, because it sounds
it's on YouTube.
Almost as crazy. So do you guys hear that sound?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Guys, how do you think Bobby and DeVito would fit into the world of Undefeatable?
So, obviously, she only made so much money off of this street fighting. Certainly not enough to put multiple people through college. Also, she had to find a college that would let you enroll someone else with no identification. So she can't really go to one of the higher education schools. She just said that they start college on Monday. And so I think it's pretty clear what happened here. I think we have Professor Hampton and Dean DeVito. And that the boys show up on Monday and the first class is Joint Rolling 101. But, it's the best she could do with the cash she had on hand.
You know, I could not even imagine Cynthia Rothrock and Stuart Goetz in the same movie.
They wouldn't be for the very long.
Tanner or Shane, you want to take it?
You know, honestly, I'm going to pass. I do not have a good one. I don't have one for this.
Holy shit, Tanner.
I can make up for it because I have two. I really couldn't decide.
I'll take credit for one of yours.
Yes, you can have my first. Yeah, exactly. You can have my first one.
You got a Bloody Mary one, and you got an undefeatable one.
So I'm thinking Cynthia's going to college. She's going to inherit Christie's credits or whatever, however that's going to work. And Bobby is finally, after all of this van bullshit, can finally go to college like his parents want to. And he's going to Kung Fu Maryland to do it. And he sees Cynthia and is attracted by all that red hair, sees himself in her, and seeing her studded red jacket, he knows perfect opening line. You in the studs? And there's a very slow motion roundhouse kick, knocks him the fuck out.
Oh, I love
That's fantastic.
Second one is Bobby and DeVito have been rolling around the country for a while now. Where are they getting all this money? And where is Stingray getting all these weird sex dungeon warehouses? I think there's a straight arrow storage located in Maryland somewhere where they're raising funds. And I think there's a deleted scene where Stingray needs to go pay DeVito off with some of his Street Fighter money.
I like
it too. Guys, I think this doesn't have anything to do with Bobby, but I think this goes all the way to the top. Because if you remember from the van, DeVito's a bookie. And guys, we never find out what he's taking bets on at that car wash. But I think I know why.
It's also clear now.
Yeah, I think those guys in the suits, you didn't see him very well, you know, but could have been Bill Adler and the boys. And they're DeVito's boys on the street, you know, and he's running the street fighting gang, you know. He's running those underground fights, and he's the one with all the connections. It goes straight to the top, guys. We finally find out what DeVito was doing as a bookie in the van.
After how many episodes?
How he got the money.
Oh my God, how he got the money. That's it. At the end of the movie,
It's
when
the
he runs
missing
in and he
piece.
goes, I got the money.
You don't want to know how.
How many what is this? 142 in? We finally find out how he got the fucking money.
This was the last episode of the Grindbin. Thank you for joining us.
Yep. Thank you. We're done here.
We finally
Shane,
figured it
you've
out.
killed it.
You did a split and landed on it.
Yeah, and now you've ruined it. So.
Final nail in the coffin.
He's been training this whole
It's the
time.
plan all along.
So, guys, Bobby, where can everybody find us? Oh, Tanner, you want to get another plug in?
I feel like there's a little bit of hostility in this. I plug where I gotta plug, you know. I gotta move them books. Gotta make that cheddar. Yeah, I gotta make some bootleg DVDs of Bloody Mary Killer that I rip from YouTube and sell exclusively on my website, buymichaeltanner.com, where you can find all my pertinent information.
On those bootleg DVDs you sell, you just have your own review of it, which is meh.
Meh.
Meh. 2 stars, Michael Tanner.
4 stars. Meh.
Shane, you got anything to plug?
Oh no, the less known, the better.
Oh, man of mystery. I admire that. But if you want to know more about us, why, you could check us out in every place fine podcasts are made. You know, be it iTunes or Google Play, or check us out on all forms of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a Patreon. Pretty much if they don't have us, you don't want them.
Bobby, we're going to college.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Dad, I made the team! But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
I didn't say it, knocker.
This book ain't got no real rhythm.
Hello, Mr. Man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles.
Oh, the hell with women's live. I'm horny.
And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
It's for jacking off. Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.
And